Hi, scholars and families, and welcome back to your literacy videos. This is your literacy video for Tuesday, June 9th, 2020. And in this video, we are going to be putting together our final writing assignment. It's going to be in the form of a trading card. So it's going to be like a virtual card. And if you have the printed packet, you can go ahead and take that part out of your packet. You can cut it out, you can glue the parts of it together at the end of the week when you're done. If you don't have the printed packet, you know I'm gonna help you figure out how to write it on a separate sheet of paper. So stay tuned for that. I also wanna say that I'm going to be putting all of our writing together into a virtual book. So it's going to be like a PowerPoint slideshow that you can go through and see the pictures that everyone has sent in since the beginning of remote learning, in case you're ever like, I wonder what features a platypus has, or I wonder about seahorses' tails. So let's go ahead and get started. But because we're going to be writing a lot today, let's go ahead and wiggle our fingers, warm them up, and stretch out your hands, and stretch this way, and this way, and this way, and this way. Okay, shake them out. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen with what the literacy packet looks like. And up first, we have quite a bit of instructions. So let's go ahead and look at the directions. So we have discovered in this module all about animals' unique features. Take a minute, write down what is something we have learned. If you don't have the printed packet, pause the video, tell someone nearby what you have learned about animals' unique features. Nice. Okay, now we're going to show what we know and what we've been writing about. You're going to be answering the question, what have you discovered about an animal's unique feature? You're going to choose either a platypus, a chimpanzee, or a hippopotamus. So platypus in green, chimpanzee in brown, and hippopotamus in blue. And you're going to create a trading card with the informational paragraph on one side of the card and the detailed labeled illustration on the other side. The card will teach the reader about one animal. So if we were in actual real life in-person school, you would be creating this card and then you could pass it around and teach people about your animal. This time you are going to create this card in your illustration. Send me a picture of it and I will put it in a slideshow and share it with you at the end of this week. But first, you need to decide which animal you want to write about. Do you want to write about platypus, chimpanzee, or hippopotamus? Once you have that in your mind, we're going to go to our animal evidence organizers to figure out what features you want to write about. So let me scroll down here to show you the organizers that I'm talking about. So I took all of the charts that we've done and I put them in your packet right here, really easily accessible so that you can see them and find them and write on them and talk about them. I have right here the author's point about never smile at a monkey, and I included information about the platypus and the hippopotamus and the whole author's point right here. I also included information from What Do You Do with a Tail Like This regarding the platypus, hippopotamus, and chimpanzee. So these are the animal evidence organizers that I'm talking about. You are then, once you have decided what animal you're going to choose, you're going to underline the feature that you want to write about and circle 2 facts or details, or more than 2, that tell how the animal uses the feature. On your trading card, you're going to need your topic statement. Remember that topic statement is this part right here of our hamburger. It's the bun at the top with some sesame seeds on it. And then you're also going to choose 2 or more details. So that's going to be right here, these information, facts, and details, the meat, the cheese, the lettuce in your hamburger. and you're gonna have a conclusion. That's the last part of your hamburger. That's the bun at the very bottom that rounds us out, that pulls it all together. Make sure you include complete sentences. They begin with capital letters and end with punctuation. So make sure you're paying attention to punctuation. You've all been doing such a good job paying attention to those things. Your best spelling. This one's a fun one because all the words you need to spell, you can find in your literacy packet. So this is one strategy to help you spell for 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, college. You need to know how to use resources to help you spell things. So platypus, hippopotamus, spurs, anything, any feature you might want to learn how to spell, you can always go research it in our text that we've been reading in this packet. You can also use strategies such as chunking your letters or sounding out each of the sounds too to help you make your best spelling. Last, you're going to need a detailed illustration. So here's spelling again. You're going to need this illustration or the picture of the animal and its features on the front of the card. So that instead of front of the card, this is going to be the other side of the card. And when you are creating your picture, you are going to be labeling it. You're going to be using captions. You're going to be using the same ideas that you just wrote about to then draw a picture. So how do we do all this, Miss Cherney? Look at all these colors going on the screen. How am I supposed to put it all together? What do I do if I don't have the printed packet? Well, let me show you. So I'm going to clear all this. And first thing I want to do, though, is talk about my example. So my example would be a platypus. I've told you from the beginning, I really like the platypus. I think it's cool that they're mammals that also lay eggs. I think that they're kind of cute and interesting, but then also they can be dangerous. So that's interesting to my brain. And so because I want to underline the feature I'm going to write about and circle 2 facts about it, I'm going to find my charts here about the platypus, and I'm going to start annotating. So I'm going to write about the platypus. So let me draw a little star right here. And then I'm going to underline the feature that I'm writing about and circle the 2 details that I want to include. So I want to include that the spurs can jab you. That's my one detail. And then I also down here, here's my platypus friend again. I want to talk about how the spurs, the males have poisonous spurs on their back legs. So now I know what I'm going to write about. I've researched it in my charts that I've put together. And here's how I would write it all together. I would come here and I would practice. So here are my sentence frames. For scholars that are creating their own on a separate sheet of paper, this is where the money is. This is what's really going to help you. So say these sentences out loud to someone near you once you've chosen the features that you want to write about. Make sure that you know the details that they come from the charts that you just wrote on. So it comes from the details that you just underlined or that you just picked out if you don't have the printed packet in your mind. And then the conclusion, you're going to use this sentence frame. So let me show you what that might look like. Oh, by the way, here's your trading card that you're going to use if you have the printed packet. So if you have the printed packet, I included some blank pages. This one doesn't really count as a learning page. I just wanted to tell you you're doing a good job. And you can rip this out. You can cut it out. You can glue them together once you're finished with both of these ideas. We're going to do the illustration tomorrow. This is where you're going to write the information that I'm about to show you using these sentence frames. So here are the sentence frames one more time. If you don't have the printed packet, make sure that you pause the video on these charts if you want to use platypus or hippopotamus, and here for chimpanzee. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can see what I did with my sentence frames. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was how the platypus protects itself. And so my first sentence frame says, the blank uses its blank to protect itself. So I would write in platypus uses its spurs to protect itself. So here we go. The platypus uses its spurs to protect itself. And then the next thing I'm going to include are my juicy details. So here I don't have sentence frames. Why? Because all of these details are what you circled in the chart to help you write about the spurs. So here's what I wrote. I wrote, males have poisonous spurs on their back legs, period, capital T. These spurs can jab you. And there's a little period right here that you can't see. So now I have my facts and details from the charts that I annotated by circling and underlining. Last, I'm going to fill in my sentence frame for the conclusion. I want to give a shout out right now to Charles in UC. His family, when they create their own sentences and paragraphs just like this, they are on it with their sentence frames. Thank you so much for supporting Charles in his writing. Okay, last we have the blank help the blank to, so I'm going to fill in the spurs, that's my feature, help the platypus to stay safe. So here's what I've written now. The spurs help the platypus to stay safe, period. Notice how my introduction and my conclusion, my topic statement and my conclusion, they're similar, but they're not exactly the same. Here I talk about protecting itself, and here I talk about staying safe. So in order to protect yourself, you must stay safe. And they give the same idea that these spurs can be dangerous, but they also help the platypus. And here's where I talk about how they're poisonous and dangerous and how they help ward off or get rid of things that might harm the platypus. So here's my informational paragraph. Yours might be a little bit neater than mine, but I wanted to make sure it was nice and big so that you could see all my words. Now today you don't need to worry about your illustration. Tomorrow you will be illustrating all your details that you just wrote. Also, today you do not need to worry about sending me or your teachers a picture of your work. Please send me a picture of both the illustration and the informational paragraph once you have finished both of those things, because I want to make sure that I have both sides of your trading card. So if you do this at home in pencil, it's going to look wonky on here for me, but you can flip it over on the other side and do your illustration and labels on the other side. So that way you have sort of like a book where you can turn the page and see exactly what you're looking for. That ends our literacy video for today. You put in a lot of really hard work and you're about to do some really great writing. Please remember, this is the last piece of writing that you'll have to do, and it's the last thing that goes into our book. So please, if you haven't sent me any of your pictures of writing before, or Miss Javity or Miss Marsh or Miss Rossi, any pictures of your writing before, please, I would encourage you to do that once you finish this and the illustration so that you can be included in our virtual book. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your paragraphs and illustrations, and I hope you have a really great rest of your day, and I'll meet you right back here for your Wednesday video. Bye, everybody.